way, it's Sean Shapiro, here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. Badge, now a podcast star, navigating traffic laws near and far. Stop sign confusions or a signal light feud. Sean's the one to give you the right attitude. Yeah, ask your traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you want to hear. From this man. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Break it down.
Good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It's Tuesday, 10 a.m., December 9th. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I am happy to be here to answer your traffic and police questions for about an hour. So what's going on in your life? How is your weekend? Tell me what's going on. Do you have your snow tires on yet? These are all things I want to know. It is awesome that little video that I did on Jib Jab. And Jib Jab's awesome. I've been paying their $12 every year for the last decade, and I haven't nearly used them enough. It was my friend Ashley who would always send messages using Jib Jab, and he convinced me to spend the $12 a year. And here I am making videos. I used to send them to everybody. They're fun. Anyway, you can get them at jibjab.com. I think there's a free version, and I like to pay for it because it's worthwhile. Stephen Bell, good morning. Julie Massey, good morning. We've got Akila Draconis with greetings and salutations. Lisa Campbell says, hey there, love the video. And Tian says, good morning. Good morning to all of you. If you are watching and you don't already follow, what are you waiting for? This is the best source of information on the internet as far as I'm concerned. That's right. I'm very biased in that statement. But I want to take a second to thank Diamond Lawyers. They are one of our sponsors. We have a few, and I'll talk about the others later. But Diamond have been with us for over a year. I'm on their podcast. They're on mine. It is an amazing relationship because they care about traffic safety. They care about you. They are Canada's largest personal injury law firm in Canada. Like that's a big thing. Offices all over the place. Thank you to them. Thank you for them helping me keep the lights on. And to Barrett Law, Barrett Legal, Barrett Tax Law, and now ifinallywill.com. They're a online company or an online will generating company. You can go protect your family by getting your will created. Because what happens when you don't have a will? Nobody knows. Well, actually, we do know. We know it's not up to you anymore. That's why you want to protect your family. And if you use code AATC, that's Ask a Traffic Cop, AATC at checkout, you get 50% off. I got that for you because I want you to be protected. It's an amazing thing. I will be sending up the video Akela just sent me or reminded me to go download, and I just downloaded it. It's the dad jokes for later on in the show. If you have dad jokes that you think we need to know about, I want you to share them with me. Yes, send them in the comments because dad joke comments matter. We will then put them on the show at the end, and we will do. Apparently, well, that's weird. TikTok froze. Oh no, what's going on with TikTok? Hang on, let's see if we can refresh that. Standing by. TikTok is having issues. Thank you for the update there, and Meldowy. I don't know if I read that right, but apparently TikTok is having issues. Stand by. We're going to see if we can fix that. Maybe we can reset the connection. Strange. Where did it go? Where did it go? All right, let's see here. Chat. No, TikTok. Here, we'll go here and check it out. TikTok live monitor. Maybe they can. Is it going to work? It says it's live. And apparently some guy, 006, says it's not frozen for him. Maybe it's fixed. Maybe it was on your end. Jack in the Box. The Jack in the Box kills me. A Melody confirms it did freeze for a. That's I got Melody Meldowy. Okay, cool. Got you. Now I got you. I like it when we have phonetics and I can get all the pronunciation down pat. Because you know what? Pronouncing someone's name correctly is a big deal. I get Sean in all sorts of different ways. Sean spelled Sean. Should be Sean like Sean Connery, but no. I go to the drive-through at the Timmy's or the other $5 or wherever, and I get Cian or Scene. It hurts just a little bit. Okay, it doesn't hurt that much. I'm used to it, but you know what? Having it done right would be great. And Meldowy says, my niece could never see my name right. I get you. You know what? Listen, a good friend of mine intentionally used to call me Shapiro because there's that Blue Jays guy, Shapiro, who's the only Shapiro I know. Everybody else calls themselves Shapiro. You know, but we go with what we go with. I answer to all of them because even Hey You can get my attention. You know when it needs to be gotten. If you got traffic and police questions, I've got traffic and police answers. Please go and ask those in the comments on whatever platform you're on. And we're on a bunch of them. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Kick, LinkedIn, Facebook. Like we're everywhere. So if you've got stuff to talk about, let's talk about it. Now, I hinted in the promo for the show, the promo being the post on X, that we have more comments as to what you are peeved about when you were driving. What are the things that get under your skin? I have a new top 10 based on the now 180 votes. So did I say that? Wait, total. No, it's 320 distinct complaints that were spread out over 190 comments. So how does that top 10 list look? I'll leave that for just a few minutes. We'll come back to it in a second. But EO says we're live. We are live. But we're having some issues, potentially, possibly, maybe on TikTok. Is it video? Is video working? No, video is working. I see myself. If you're doing this live thing where you're watching live and you're on TikTok, please tap the screen until your fingers go numb. Please share it with your friends. It really does help bring more people to the party. And people like You Can't Handle Jack and Hanif, and well, we know about some guy at 006 because he confirmed that it was never frozen for him. Crypto Crafty, Dominic Harvey, Pill, and Joe King. And we love the name Joe King because whether it's his real name or it's just Joe King, it's awesome. James Jr., Ramdial, Melody, of course, is here. And then we've got Slick, and I think that's the top viewers listed. Those are the ones that are there paying attention. This is a great question. I posted up a video that went somewhat viral on Instagram, less so on TikTok, but it is still going strong. And that's a question about, is it legal to be drunk on a bicycle? Well, sorry, that's actually a derivative. The original comment was about lawnmowers, and people have gone and lost their minds about whether or not they should be able to get an intoxicated or DUI, operate while under the influence charge whilst mowing their lawn with a beer. So we're going to get into it in a sec, but let's first answer the question, and that is very specifically from someone who has no name, just an icon. Is it illegal to operate a bicycle while intoxicated? And it's not a drive under the influence charge. It's not a criminal charge specific to drivers. It is public intoxication. If you're drunk and all over the road, yeah, you can be charged, arrested for public intox. It's not DUI per se, but it is a charge and it is real. There is an additional opportunity to be charged with careless driving or whatever else you do that's illegal whilst upon your bicycle. So there's a slew of things. Tony wants me to answer his question. And technically, he was before the unnamed person. But let's go and make sure we don't miss anybody. If you got questions, drop them in the comments. We're going to try and take care of everybody's. And I see Insure with Duchant who says good morning. Let's see here. I'm going to come back to Tony's question in just 1 second. I see we got a question. Oh, this is good. We're gonna get one from Insure with Duchant in a second. And just to acknowledge Stephen Bell, because he's got a great Christmas wish. This isn't the Christmas show, by the way, but we will do a Christmas show. At least we'll do one closer to Christmas. My Christmas wish list is 0 impaired drivers. Everyone do their part to get home safe and sober. I agree, 100%. All right, let's have a quick look. Awesome. Let's get into Tony's question. Who wants to know if I can answer his question of, do I have to hand my license to the officer or can I just show it to him? So you want to know if you can just say, here you go, or can you put it up to the, glass and say, yeah, there, it's enough information for you. Can you read it? Can you read it? Can you read it? No, you actually have to surrender your license, which means give it to them for reasonable inspection. That's what the law says. Surrender your license, ownership, and insurance for reasonable inspection of the police officer. And if you don't do that, if you fail to do that, you fail to surrender. And if you fail to surrender for the license, it's $110 fine. For your proof of ownership, your registration, it's $110. It's $65 for insurance. So yeah, there you go. Just showing it doesn't work. The officer, some officers might be like not interested in your germs, and they'll say, yeah, I'm good. But really, we have to inspect it. You have to see it. There's security technology built into it. There's a barcode scanner in our car and a mag strip reader in our car, and we can read that. And that also helps determine if it's a fake license. Oddly enough, people don't always tell the truth to the police. I know, shocking as it may be, people lie to the popo all the time, in fact. So having an original document to verify, to check, is good. We've got here... Joe King says, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Daytime running lights, DRLs, I had to decode that live, should include tail lights. I agree with you. In fact, I don't know why we have daytime running lights. Why don't we just have all-time lighting systems full-time on? You can direct them or change the aim based on day or night, because daytime running lights are technically low power, high beams. They're a little higher. They're meant to be in your field of vision differently than illuminating the ground, to be more noticeable, visible. They're there for safety, or so we say. But what happens is people illuminate the ground before them and just get in and drive. Now, very often those people are impaired by drugs or alcohol, and they forget that little buttony, switchy thingy thing that turns it on, unless they are lucky enough to be in a vehicle that has it automatically turn on, which means that they get caught for impaired driving. Because I looked when I was on the road for people with their headlights on, their full headlighting system on. Well, I should say I looked for people who didn't, because that was an indicator. I call it a clue. Yeah. It was a clue that they might be impaired, and they got pulled over. And we had to talk about the headlights, and then sniffed around for some booze. Yeah. That was things that happened before COVID, because now it's like nobody wants to breathe. Nobody wants to breathe your air. And I got to tell you, you've inhaled some stank breath when you're a cop. On a nighttime. Anyway, not everybody. Sometimes looking and saving the world involves bad breath. Just saying. Not everybody has good oral hygiene. Just saying. Ugh. Just had a flashback of memories. Ugh. Things I don't miss about policing. Anyway, I just actually I called in an impaired driver. I don't know what happened because I lost track of them. But not only did they have their taillights out. They were running daytime runners only, but they ran a stop sign on a left turn and then accelerated at great haste. I mean, they were going fast. And I tried to catch up to get a license plate and call it in, but I got a description of the vehicle only. Couldn't get close enough, and they were gone. It just, and I have no doubts that person was impaired. Oh yeah, yeah. Those are times when I miss being a cop because I would have loved to have lights and sirens and gone and got that person off the road. Yes. If you got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, I'm your guy. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I talk quickly, but not so quickly that you can't understand. But if you got stuff that you want to know, I'm here for you. Okay. Speed cameras were useful, and I think they should have been pitched better. You know what? I don't disagree with you that there were tweaks to be made. So let's back up. I like speed cameras. Yes, I like anything that holds drivers and owners accountable, because whenever I say drivers, people go, it wasn't the drivers, it was the owners and the drivers, and they didn't know it. And yeah, the owner who knows who's driving their car is held accountable, and they can go tap their friend that they lent the vehicle to or their child. And it does impact the whole food chain of driving. If little Bobby or Sue is driving daddy's ride and daddy gets a ticket, daddy's going to say on Tuesday night at the clubs, I was not at the club, so you were at the club and you got a ticket. This is not a big leap for understanding, yet people try and say they don't understand. Doesn't work, doesn't get the right person. Trickle-down economics says that it's going to go to the right person, we'd hope. Anyway, they were taken away. Roads are less safe because of it, thanks to the premier and his cronies. I am not impressed. And I like the premier as an individual. I just really think this was a dumb move. But hey, we'll move on from that. I'm not. Yeah, I'm pissed. Still pissed because speeds have increased and it means more people are at risk. And I posted a video last week where I saw a guy doing about 60 kilometers an hour as he blew through a stop sign directly in front of my child's school. Not cool. Would speed cameras have stopped that? No, they wouldn't have. They would have given him a ticket saying, hey, you're an asshat. But they would have happened well after the event. It would have not prevented the event. However, if they were in every school zone all the time and still functioning, I think people would be a little more careful. Now, going back to the actual question, which I've forgotten. EO says, speed cameras were useful, and I think they should have been pitched better. So I've been adamant, based on my information, based on how Toronto operates, that these cameras run at about a 10 kilometer an hour gap. So if you're doing more than 10 over, you're going to get a ticket. But if you're doing 3 or 5 over, you're not. Well, many people have come to me and said, Sean, I've had tickets for 1 kilometer over. Now, I don't buy the 1 kilometer, maybe 3 to 5 kilometers in a 30 zone, which is still a buffer of about 10%. Maybe not. I don't know. But people say it. So I'm going to say, if it was 1 to 3 or 1 to 5 kilometers, I would not support that. I don't think you ding someone for 5 over. I think if you're a police officer, you might pull them over and say, hey, what are you doing? In a 30 zone, 35 is still significant. You shouldn't be speeding. It's not legal. However, I don't believe in giving someone an electronic ticket for that difference. It's just not worth it. 10 kilometers, I think it is worth it. So bring them back and make it 10 kilometers across the board. You're doing 10 over. Now, granted, I have an issue with saying it's 10 kilometers because if you know it's 10 kilometers, then you do 10 kilometers and you don't get a ticket. You did 9 kilometers, which just makes the unofficial speed limit 9 over. It's the same thing when people go, well, how much can I go over the posted speed limit before you'll pull me over? The answer is, let's find out. It's not fixed. People think that on the highway 20 over is safe. It could be, depends on the officer. Some officers will pull you over for 10 over and go, what are you doing? And then your attitude might change everything else. In any case, I want you to know that you shouldn't speed and it's not legal anywhere. And what you do is up to you. I am merely here to be your guide. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who tells you what's up, even if it's information you don't want to know. Yeah. What you do with the information is up to you. Not my business. People get all uppity and say, yeah, go find a new hobby. I'm like, no, this really is my hobby. I like this. I like telling people what the deal is because there's so much confusion. It's not always easy to get information. You don't call the front desk and say, hi, I want to ask you some questions. And maybe the person answering the phone answers the questions because they know the answers, or maybe they have to phone a friend. I'm that friend they phone. Not kidding. I still get phone calls. Okay. Let's see here. What charges if you are rear-ended, the driver fails to show ID. Okay. So Erica wants to know what the charges are if you are rear-ended, the driver fails to show identification, takes off, is caught, and has no insurance. Okay. So I'll pull out my trusty guide. And the guide is just because I want to read you the definitions of these things. I want to give you the verbatims. I make myself laugh. We've got first of all fails to show ID. So we're going to assume they originally rear-ended you and stopped and checked on you. Is that fair to say, Erica? If they did that, then they avoid one of the charges that would have been eligible had they just taken off, which is failed to, and what's the wording in it? There's one that says you basically have to ensure the person doesn't need assistance. So if they offer assistance, or if they're to say you're okay, well, if they at least stopped, then that would be the first charge that they sort of avoided. Like if they left you lying and bleeding in the street, that would be a problem for an additional charge. But they're already idiots. I'm not trying to defend them. Anyway, takes off is failed to remain. And fail to remain is under the Highway Traffic Act. And we're going to say fail to remain. Fail to remain is no set fine. It's section 200 sub 1 sub A of the Highway Traffic Act. And it's 7 demerit points where the person can be arrested. It's got authority to arrest under where an accident occurs. I don't know why they haven't updated the verbiage in here, but the terminology should be changed from accident to collision, because accidents are not just thing. Okay. So when an accident occurs on a highway, every person in charge of a vehicle or streetcar that is directly or indirectly involved in the accident shall remain at or indirectly return to the scene of the accident, render all possible assistance, and upon request, give in writing to anyone sustaining loss or injury, or to any police officer or to any witness, his or her name, address, driver's license number, and jurisdiction of insurance, motor vehicle liability insurance policy, insurer and number, name, address of the registered owner of the vehicle, and the vehicle permit number. Now, there's other stuff that goes on beyond that, but that's what you have to do. And if you don't do those, you're failing to remain, right? Like if you just take off without doing those, if you do part of it, could it be, change the way it goes in court? Sure. Gets caught and has no insurance, falls under a different act. It's not the Highway Traffic Act. The no insurance is under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. Love acronyms. And that says that you're charged, if you're convicted, you're going to be seeing a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail. That's what's going to happen with that. So what else? I think that covered it. Of course, there's also the collision. They rear-ended. It's going to be careless driving. If they hurt someone, careless driving, cause bodily harm is an option. It's some serious stuff. It's a serious event. What you've described is intense. Yeah. Well, we didn't talk about the consequences for fail to remain. It's every person who contravenes this section is guilty of an offense on conviction, is liable to a fine not less than $400 and not more than $2,000, or to an imprisonment term of not more than 6 months, or to both. In addition to, the person's license or permit may be suspended for a period of not more than 2 years. Yeah, it's all serious stuff. If you're in a crash, do the right thing. Stick around. Just go through it, whether you have insurance or not. And I mean that quite seriously. If someone doesn't have insurance, you can't pretend that you do. You shouldn't be behind the wheel. You shouldn't be driving. But if you get caught, just own up to it. Just stay. Don't make it even worse. Because, we talk about these maybe jail. Well, when you run away, that's the times that the judge or JP says, maybe this person needs extra. I don't know why that voice was used. Whatever. If there's a charge for operating a drone while intoxicated, that's from WAGA. I know it's a condition that you have to be sober. I don't know what the charge is. Has never gone there. Don't know. Could be, possibly. Don't know. It's an interesting question. I don't know there must be a charge, but you must have done something wrong if you're finding out. Christine says people are now breaking in and stealing, but then it updated. So let me scroll back. Yes, here we go. People are now breaking in and stealing ownership slips. Can I keep a copy only in the car? Yes. Well, okay. Let's go further than this. Do you need to keep an original document on you? Can you surrender a photocopy? Use a photocopy. Absolutely. First of all, leave nothing in your vehicle that has your address in it. Never mind for them to get your insurance information. You don't want them to know where you live, period. They see a nice car, they see some nice stuff. Maybe they're seeing a nice you. They want to scope out where you live, follow you home, some scary shit. Don't leave your ID in your home, in your vehicle, because then they will find your home. Photocopy in your wallet, that's the way to go. You don't need your original. Leave it at home in a safe. Leave it in the safety deposit box at your bank if you have one. But don't leave that in an easy to find place, because people will take it and they'll sign it and they'll steal your car with the ownership in their hand. Makes it easier to move through the system with a signed ownership. They take advantage of someone and you may or may not get your vehicle back. Okay. Hope that helps. If you need more, let me know. Daniel, can you wrap your plate? Just change the color. Numbers will be white, plate will be black. No, Daniel, that's actually an arrestable offense. Modifying your plate, and I'll read it for you. You can't change it in any way, shape, or form. Modify plate. Where is this? Plate. That's Kate. I typoed it. I know it exists. Deface plate, alter plate. So we're talking defaces or alterates, not making up names, numbers, and things. Alters any plate evidence of vandalism or permit. That's not deface validation. No, it's definitely an arrestable offense. There's no set fine. I'm trying to find more information here. Alter plate. Defaces or alters any number plate evidence of vandalism or permit. 12 sub 1 sub A. No set fine. I don't know more, although that you will lose your plate because you can be arrested and your plate seized. Permit use of if you then allow someone to use the plate after it's being defaced, even if you're not the one who did it, the registered owner who can be charged as well. It's a bad. Don't do it. Not allowed. If you're watching, you don't know who this is. Well, it says it on the screen. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. My name is Sean Shapiro. Whether you are someone who walks, rides, or drives, I got stuff that can help you out. If you want to know stuff before you do stuff, I'm here for you. This is all about getting you the information you need to make better choices on the road. And there's so many different ways now. It says Ask a Traffic Cop. That's the name of the show. I am no longer an active duty police officer. I'm a former one, but I still know stuff and things. We don't just get the mind wipe when we walk out. It's not Men in Black. That said, I've been talking to some current serving police officers who want to come on the show, and I'm looking forward to having them here. Let's have a look here. What do I want to do? Just a reminder that if you don't have a will, why don't you? Half of Canadians don't have wills. And a will is a legal document that determines where your stuff goes based on where you want them to go. Your Xbox games, you want those to go to your cousin Billy? No problem. Put it in a will. You have an RSP, you probably have a chain of events that is already dealing with that. But if you don't have things explicitly listed in a will, things may not go the way you had intended. And unfortunately, you can't change it after you're gone. Get it done. And get it done for half price. ifinallywill.com. It's all online. You go through the process. You answer some questions. It creates a will for you. And you get half price with code AATC. Protect your family and your wishes. You can also get power of attorneys there. So if, let's say, you were in a crash and you were unconscious, what's going to happen? What are your wishes for you while you're alive but can't answer questions for yourself? Assign someone who can answer them for you. I know, gruesome, terrible topics, but important stuff. And I want you to be protected. And how do you report a vehicle that has heavy snow buildup on the roof and snow is flying onto other cars on the highway? If you see a vehicle, whether it's snow on the roof, it's driving erratically, it's a risk to others. If it's an immediate risk, you call 911. If it's on the highway, it's going to be the OPP. You can also do star OPP. That'll take you directly to the back end. It's different than 911. It's kind of a lesser priority. Either way, call. If they have an officer available, they're going to send them. And if it's causing havoc, like I go back to the 90s. I'm way older than that. But in the 90s, I was driving to work. And as I was traveling southbound on the 404, there was somebody traveling northbound. They were in a big rig. And as a result of their traveling north, they were sending ice, slush, and snow across 3 lanes of traffic. The snow that landed on my windshield actually knocked my windshield into my lap. So I was fortunately wearing glasses, and it protected my eyes from the glass and the wind and whatnot. And I was able to safely pull over without collision. but I'll never forget the Honda Del Sol that was spinning out and hit the wall beside me. That vehicle, that one 18-wheeler, and that stream of slush and snow and ice, it created havoc. There was 100 collisions as a result of it. Yeah. Be ready for anything. I totally forgot how we got to that. Anyway, insurance took care of it. It was a bad day at the office. They never caught that guy. But yeah, that would have been a 911 call to, by the way, there's 100 cars here all damaged, and that guy did it. And I had no idea how to report that guy because there was no windshield and the squinting. It was terrible. Moving along. Daniel says, we already covered Daniel's. Erica says, keep it in your wallet. Yes. Okay. EO says, I didn't like it when I got my first ticket. What is this? I didn't like when I got my first and only ticket for going 50 in a 40 zone, but it changed. How do I drive? But it changed how I drove. Thank you. Sorry, decoding texty goobly goop. That's how it worked for me too. I got a ticket for running a stop sign that I didn't even know existed. I think I was excited to go meet a girl or something. I don't know. I was 16. I still remember the name of the street. It was Lisa Crescent, if I'm not mistaken. And the person who gave me that ticket, I'm pretty convinced, is Sean from York Regional Police. And I know him now. He's a motor squad guy. And I keep bringing up the fact that every time I see him, it's, hey, you gave me my first ticket. But that stop sign changed my life. Boy, oh boy, do I stop for stop signs to this day. I have a proper stop at every stop sign because I learned my lesson when I was 16. And when I was 16-ish as a new driver and I got a 15 over ticket, yep, no 15 over for me. I drive properly. And I became a traffic guy. There's hope for you yet. Yeah, it absolutely does what it's supposed to do. It's education through enforcement. It's not supposed to be a fun experience. It's supposed to remind you what you can and cannot do and what you should and shouldn't do. So there you go. We said, Sean, can we report any cars for rash or bad driving while submitting dash video as proof? Yes. So depending on the jurisdiction you're in, Toronto Police has a website, a web interface where you can submit a form. You do have to give your information. You can certainly go and upload or send a link to a YouTube video or whatever evidence you have. Will it result in charges? Maybe. Depends if they can identify the driver. You need to know time, date, location, and identity of the driver to lay a charge in most cases. However, sometimes you have enough. Most of the time you don't. And you'd need to go and testify if they did use it. So chances are it wouldn't result in charges, but it would likely create a letter to the registered owner where it says, at this date and time, at this location, you were doing dumb stuff and you were witnessed by people who thought it was so dumb that they had to contact police. And that becomes part of an ongoing file. And then when they do dumb stuff and they get caught by police, we look and say, hey, there were 5 reports from dumb stuff that this person did on Wednesday, on Thursday, on Tuesday. There's a pattern of behavior. And then it gets brought into, court or just swaying the officer's decision as to whether or not they lay the charge. It's good. It's good stuff. Okay. Dre wants to know if cops get into trouble for not showing up in court for court hearings. Yeah. If you simply don't show up without reasonable excuse, you will be documented. You will be losing 4, 8, 16, depending on how many times it's happened. Now you're part of a penalty system. So if you get in trouble as a police officer, you can be documented. It can be a verbal warning. You can be documented and lose 4 hours pay. If it's the first time, 8 hours pay, or also how serious it is. 4, 8, 16, it gets bigger and bigger really, really fast. It's expensive because it's taking money out of your pocket. Now, if you have a legitimate reason, you're sick, you're required for the road, there's not enough police officers to let you go to court, there's some kind of emergency, whatever the case may be, you can call your sergeant and say, I can't make it, I'm really sorry, or I'm in the hospital. I didn't go to court for a long while when I was recovering from my motorcycle crash. That was an on-duty one. Though they don't get in trouble when it's pre-approved or reasonable. It is what it is. Obviously, police officers don't show up. It's bad for the court system. It's a waste of money for everybody involved. Okay. Bambi wants to know if I would ever pull someone over for going 10 over in a 50 zone. Yes, I would. 10 over in a 100 zone? No. That would be like doing 5 over in a 100 zone. And no, let's back that up. I would pull someone over for 10 over in a 50. Yes. 50 is a 50 zone. Don't do 60 in a 50. Don't do 50 in a 40. Don't do 30 in a, or 20 in a 40. Don't do 40 in a 30. Don't speed. It's just not legal. So yeah, I would pull people over for 10 over. Now, would I give them a charge? Maybe. Maybe it's just a, hey, what are you doing? Did you know that the speed sign was there and the speed sign was there and there's kids over there and like be smart. And if I got attitude, then I would probably lay the charge, but I would definitely pull someone over for 10 over. EO says, I remember Olivia Chow mentioning how taking the cameras away would take a huge revenue source out. It's true. It's true. It's a revenue source that funded traffic safety to then go after people who were making the roads less safe. Absolutely. It created a revenue stream. It paid for itself. It didn't give people, vacations in the Caribbean. It made a system work. It funded extra police officers. It funded the camera systems and all the support staff. It funded itself. Was there a profit? I don't know. I don't think so, but it doesn't matter because the money came from people who were breaking the law, and I have no sympathy for those people at all whatsoever. Yeah. It's not that I don't love y'all. It's just when you make mistakes, you need to get the education that comes with it, even if it's a few weeks later. Insure with Dushyant, you're very welcome. Jacob CWM says, how do you feel about the no cameras? I'm not impressed. But listen, I wrote an article that was published in the Globe and Mail. I'm really a fan of the cameras, and I'd like to see them come back. And they have come back, I believe, in Edmonton, Alberta, after they took them out. Their death camp? No, their death toll went crazy. Death count. Yeah, not camp. They all jumble the words. Anyway, they went up. And now they want to reduce them again. So they've already gotten approval to put some cameras back in because their cameras are on main roads. Like, we're not talking school zones. We're talking they have cameras everywhere or had cameras everywhere. And it's in those areas that we're seeing the increase. In any case, I'd like to see them come back. And I was recently on the Jerry Agar show, and I should post a clip to the show because it was he did a special talking about these automated speed bumps, because I hate speed bumps. I think they're ridiculous. And I can tell you that the person who did 60 or so in front of my kid's school, there's speed humps there. Now, I can go over that speed. Now, the speed limit in the area is 50 on some areas and 40 in others. I can go over the speed bump, I'm admitting to speeding right now, at 50 and 60 without hassle. It doesn't bother my vehicle at all. I tested it out because I wanted to see, how is it that somebody wouldn't slow down in front of a school zone? So in the middle of the night, I went a little faster. And I can tell you that my truck don't care. So if my truck doesn't care, your truck doesn't care. What are these speed bumps doing? They're useless. Yeah, that was in the name of science. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to see them come back. So I was telling you about the automated speed bumps. Automated speed bumps, the ones from Sweden, are a rectangle in the ground. And if you are driving the speed limit, it's flat ground. They do not have a bump. But if you're speeding, they drop. And it's just enough to give you a jolt. It's not a big bump. It's like a rumble strip, kind of couple inches. It's not fun. I would imagine it would be uncomfortable, but it's not a giant climb over the mountain down the other side kind of speed bump. So I'd like those, but I also like the Mexican version because as a competitor to the one that makes the dip, this one is a proper up and down speed bump mountain that if you're doing the right speed, it lowers and goes flat. But if you're speeding, you get a real bump. And I think that would be good. Listen, if you're going to do speed bumps, do them right. Make it that little mountain, that giant lip, that one that scrapes the underside of your car because it's so bloody big. That'll slow people down. The other stuff is kind of crap. But, it's just me being a grouchy ex-cop. My name is Sean Shapiro, former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. If you want to know stuff before you do stuff, I'm your guy. And I got to tell you, I got a top 10 list. I went through and analyze the comments on the video I put up asking about what pisses you off when you're driving. And there's a lot. There's a lot. 190 comments, 320 individual complaints, and I've got them categorized into a quick top 10 list. And oddly enough, the top 10 starts with cyclists and pedestrian behavior and weak enforcement. I don't know how those got condensed into one. Maybe it's the weak enforcement specifically against cyclists and pedestrian behavior. Yeah, I understand why that upsets people, because they seem to get away with everything. Let's see here. We're going to come back and do number 8 or number 9 in a second. But we'll actually do the whole thing in a minute, but I just want to make sure I don't miss any comments here. We got here. Easy come, easy GTFO. Cops can tailgate you. However, cops also said you need to be a car length behind someone for every 10 kilometers you're doing. If you're doing 80, you need to be 8 car lengths away from the person ahead. But Yet if you brake and the cop rear ends you, you're at fault. Cops go by their own rules. They don't go easy come, easy GTFO. You seem to have some beef. Have you ever heard of the 2 to 3 second rule? Depending on the speed you're doing, you need to be 2 seconds or 3 seconds behind the vehicle in front of you. That is a guide, so that you have sufficient space to not hit the person in front of you in the event of a collision. In the event of something happening up ahead, if you're on the highway, 3 seconds is smart. Now, that is a real distance at highway speeds. In slower speeds, it's very close. So it's a gap that changes. Nobody says 8 car lengths. No, it's just not. I don't know where you're getting your information. And you said kilometers, so I'm assuming you're in Canada, but I got no info for you. Tell me where. Show me in the handbook where it says be 8 car lengths away from somebody. And if are like when you say tailgating, are we talking about on the highway 1 car length, or are you talking about in stop and go traffic 1 car length? Because obviously seconds, if you're traveling a meter an hour on the Don Valley Parkway, you're pretty damn close to the car in front of you. You should always leave an escape route, but I'm being facetious. Let's see here. Scrolling back because things just updated. We're going to come back to that top 10 list because I think it's going to be interesting. I'm very interested to know exactly what happened. Sweet Refinishing sent me a heart. Thank you very much for the gift. When you give money to the channel, it goes to the Better Traffic Safety Education Organization, a not-for-profit that I created when I left the Toronto Police Service over a year ago. And that's the deal. We're trying to change driving behavior across the country, maybe the world. But we're doing that with your support, and we have the support of the magical folks at Diamond & Diamond Lawyers. They're Canada's largest personal injury law firm. We have the support of Barrett Legal, Barrett Tax Law. It's the same people, but 2 different places. And then we now have the magical support of ifinallywill.com. And ifinallywill.com is an online platform for creating a will. Do you have yourself covered in the event of something happening to you, some tragedy? What happens to your stuff? Who takes care of your dog? All that stuff can be outlined in a will and should be, along with the power of attorney. You should go check out their website, ifinallywill.com, and use code AATC for 50% off. This is less of an ad and more of a promotional opportunity for you to get a deal on something you really need. And if you don't think you need it, you just didn't know you needed it until, well, now you know. They're good people and they want to help you. Okay. If my car, what is this? Oh, if a car is in my semi truck blind spot. Okay. Now I'm picking up what you're putting down. If I put my blinker on and I merge over, I rub him. People need to understand that big trucks, as much as we may like them, and we do not lie, but I'm sorry, I make myself laugh, even if nobody else gets it. So if you're inside of a semi-truck's blind spot, which is an enormous blind spot, you are putting yourself at risk. If they've done their due diligence, are they going to still be responsible for making contact? Sure, but you're probably going to share a whole lot of that responsibility with them if you were hiding out. They know they have giant blind spots. That's why they have giant mirrors all over the place. And some even have cameras installed in the newer vehicles and those that are being retrofit. But they need so much space around them. They cannot see you at all. And if you remember way back when, a couple of 5, maybe it's even 10 years ago now, there was a nurse driving a Mini on Lakeshore, and they made a little cut in front of a dump truck, and the dump truck didn't see him. So that nurse in their Mini went sideways up the ramp onto the Gardner Expressway and was attached as like a hood ornament to that dump truck for like, I don't know, 5 kilometers or so. I'm making that number up because I can't remember the details, but it was only because of the incessant honking of everyone around the dump truck driver that he went, oh, maybe I should pull over and have a look at what's going on. And he did. And lo and behold, there's a car there. And he apparently, when police investigated, he simply said he was going to, check it out when he got back to the garage. So that could have been a very long ride for that poor person in the car, who, by the way, was originally at fault for what they did. They cut off a driver within, in an unsafe way. They own that. The driver who, didn't respond to the, squealing tire sounds, screeching, honking, that's on that driver. Anyway, moving along. I shake my head. What a crazy experience. Okay. Why are the lanes on Bathurst Street made transit priority when the traffic is already falling apart? That's from Stenny. On Bathurst Street? Where is Bathurst? Bathurst in what? Bathurst is not a short street. Where is it? I need to know because I can't comment without understanding. Because if you talk about the north of Steeles is not priority. South of Steeles to Eglinton, I can't. No, there's the where on Bathurst Street is transit priority. I mean, Dufferin Street has a diamond multi-use diamond lane that has a priority space for. Stanley, tell me more. I need to know because what you're. I'm not picking up what you're putting down, or we're talking about different areas of the world. Easy come, easy get the fuck out is what his name is, GTFO. And of course, I read it out loud because I don't care. That's his name. He should know. He's saying, see, he's going to ignore the questions he knows he can't answer. I answered your question. He's claiming that police will tailgate you and then hit you and charge you. I think you're grasping at straws, my friend. DML, I don't know what that acronym stands for. What if I don't feel comfortable giving out my address to the person who hit me? You're required to by law. You have to exchange information. You have to surrender that information. Why wouldn't you want to give out their password? Oh, I know, because the world's upside down. I get it. I totally get it. But you're legally required to. Whether you're comfortable or not, it's an unfortunate situation. Now, some people do things like no, that's technically not allowed. So I'm not even going to suggest that. But I get it. And I get it more for some people than others. If you're a young woman and someone hits you because they want to find out where you live, that's a bad day at the office for you. Listen, I would suggest in those situations, if it's not just because you don't want to give anyone your address, that's different. But if you don't want to give that person address because they're creeping you out and there's some strange vibes going on, say to the police officer, listen, you call the police and say, I've been involved in a collision, although no one's injured, assuming no one's injured. What can I do? The problem is they're going to do a police report, and then in that police report, your information is going to become available to them anyway. Like you're not entitled to withhold certain things. Yeah, that sucks. I'm going down a rabbit hole in my own mind about this situation. It's scary. Okay. We got thanks to Wasey who followed and Mike Oliveira. I think I pronounced it right. Avery says, what's the rule on turning right on an advanced green? You have to come to a stop. It has to be clear and safe for you to make that right turn. If they have an advance and you run into them because there's nowhere for you to go, you were wrong and you're going to get charged. So if there's a right turn on red, it means you have to stop on that red light that is being presented to you. It's advanced for the turning people left, not for you. And then only when it's safe. And you have to be able to ensure you can complete that turning movement in safety. Oh. Erica says, the police said she had several charges. I plan to go to her court date. This has cost me a loss of money. This is Erica, who originally asked me about someone who rear ends them, fails to remain, has no insurance. Yeah, definitely go. And you might want to talk to the prosecutor's office and see if there's the opportunity to give a victim impact statement, because if you've lost tons of money, listen, you have insurance, so your insurance is covering it. Talk to your insurance and tell them that you want to go on behalf of the insurance company. Just make sure, and if you have a lawyer, get a lawyer. If you don't have a lawyer, if you were injured, if it's just financial and there's no personal injury, then don't bother wasting time with a lawyer for you. But get involved. Talk to the prosecutor. Maybe they want to utilize you more. And if you're willing and able, that's good. erresponder.owen.ca wants to know if you can be charged for riding a drunk horse. ER Responder is a good friend of mine, and he and I were discussing impaired operation charges and whether or not a horse or someone riding a horse could be charged for impaired operation. And he and I, and mostly he led the way with, no, you can't. He's a breath tech. I'm not. You can't be charged for riding a horse whilst drunk in Canada, but in about 25 to 30 U.S. states, you can be. So it depends on where you is. Now, if you are riding a drunk horse, which is what he asked, that's a really good. I've never asked a horse to provide a breath sample. That'd be a nasty thing. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. If you want to know stuff before you do stuff, please ask questions in the chat below. I'm here for another 10, 15 minutes. I'll be doing this since 10 a.m. I do it 10 a.m. on Tuesdays and 9 p.m. on Tuesdays, 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on Wednesdays. I switched that around. I used to do 9 p.m. on Tuesdays. Anyway, doing it again tomorrow night, 9 p.m. for an hour at least. I've been known to do it for 2 hours. It's all about pacing yourself. Okay. Wacy says if someone drives you to the emergency, but they don't have a license, can they be in trouble? Okay. Just to unpack this, you're saying someone who does not have a driver's license drives you in your vehicle because of an emergency and they don't have a license, could they be in trouble? They're driving without a license. And because they're driving without a license, your insurance wouldn't cover them in the event of a collision. And if it was truly an emergency, it's a high stress situation, and an unlicensed driver who is not licensed or trained or has experience is not in a good position to be making any decisions behind the wheel, never mind stressful ones. So yeah, they can be in a whole lot of trouble. Do you know what is the appropriate way of dealing with an emergency? Call 911. If it's a medical emergency, you get those magical people in uniform who come and extend you, they extend the potential of getting you to the hospital safely. Why? Because they are not just slapping you in a passenger seat and hitting the gas and then, doing whatever they do to get you where they got to go. They're stabilizing you as a patient to ensure that you make it on the trip. If it's truly an emergency and not just a stub toe, they're going to get you there in one piece, and they're going to do medical stuff and things while you're there and make sure that you're transported in your best situation. Some people don't even make it, right? Stabilized patients, important. Licensed, safe operation, important. And licensed sirens with a trained driver, really important. It's not about speed, it's about guaranteed arrival without becoming a patient or creating additional patients along the way. Okay. I like Gabby Baxter was responding to ER responder. The horse knows his way home, but in his scenario, Gabby, the horse is the drunk one. Daniel wants to know if does your insurance address have to match your license after you move out of your school? So if your insurance is based on your parents' address, for instance, and I'm assuming school, we're gonna make an assumption that you have it at one address and you've not updated it. Your insurance policy is based on where you've declared your residence. If you're no longer living in the home that it's listed, you're living somewhere else. Could you be defrauding the insurance company if they're not aware of the change of address? Possibly. If you're in a different province, even more so of an issue because some provinces are much lower. Yeah. Oh, according to Akela, they have plenty of horse carriages out here, and horses do get drunk if they get into fermented fruit. Something I would have never even, that's just a path I would never have gone down. But thank you. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. So yeah, you should update to the most. Will you get in trouble? Not necessarily. Not with the police per se, but with the insurance company. Yeah, could they say you obviously don't live where you are? Could it be an issue with an insurance claim? Yes. Sorry, completely went down the rabbit hole, or got distracted. Squirrel. Okay. And yes. Okay. Responder also talked about the emergency. Sir Smokes a Lot says, is this American law, Canadian, or somewhere else? This is Ontario law, which is Canadian law, but every province has their own traffic law. In Canada, federal law is criminal, or there may be other federal laws, but we're talking about traffic laws, and traffic laws change province to province as they do state to state in the United States. So while we can address laws in all countries and we have the ability of looking things up for you if you've got a different area that you want to discuss, definitely we are talking about Ontario law primarily, but we're capable of talking about across Canada and even into the States. Wago wants to know if I would be in favor of fines proportionate to the person's income. I would. I think that'd be interesting. People say that, laws that like speeding and whatnot are really to keep the poor man down. Because if you can afford the fine, you can just do whatever you want. Well, that's kind of the world. I'm sorry. If you got money, you can do different things, but that doesn't mean that it's not universal. Well, some places have said if you make a whole lot more money, your fine will be, relative to your income. So if you make $1 million a year, maybe you should get $100,000 speeding ticket. Bails work that way. If you're poor, if you are of less means, poor is an offensive word apparently. If you have less money available to you, and you want to bail your cousin out, they may say, well, how much money do you make? And they go, oh, listen, could you put up $100? If you can say that, if you don't, bring them back or call police when they don't do what you tell them, as the jailer in the public and at home, you lose $100. But to somebody else, it could be 100,000. It could be a house. Although I've never heard of them actually cashing in ever, any of these things. It is based on your income. So why not do it for speeding and other offenses too? It could be very interesting. Could actually see people do what they're supposed to do when they're acting as sureties or, in this case, speeders. But then someone's going to complain and say, no, it's not fair. Mike Oliveira says, Canada needs speed cameras on highways, too many speeders. 100% I agree with you. Of course, it's never going to happen under this government. But I'm not, okay, people keep saying, you're a liberal. I'm like, listen, my politics are not what you may think, which means I don't vote liberal. But that aside, people think I'm liberal because I have a lot of liberal concepts in that I want people to be safe. I don't want more government. I don't want people up my butt about everything. I'm a gun guy. I think what the liberals are doing federally with the guns is criminal. Okay, but on the flip side, I think that traffic rules, which make people safer, make sense. I'm kind of a logical person, kind of, sort of, and good laws are good laws and bad laws are bad laws. Politics aside, I don't care the party. I don't agree with the conservatives on some things. I don't agree with the liberals on anything, but I do think the traffic cameras should be there. I'm going to get in so much trouble from my wife. Don't talk about politics. Okay. I love her so much. Okay. So yeah, 100%, Mike. If you look at Europe, if you look at Korea, if you look at everywhere in the world, cameras are on all major roads and they keep people honest or they keep them paying fines. And I think that those who break the rules should pay fines. Tika says, why don't they paint the lines in school zones a different color? Why don't they? Well, why? Signs don't matter. People don't look at anything. And what do the lines do? Lines do not make people. Lines do not do anything. Nor do signs, nor do flashing lights. People just do whatever the hell they want because they don't care. They don't care. If you're watching, please follow, please like, please subscribe. And by the way, we're like 10 away on YouTube from hitting the 1,000 follower mark on YouTube. So please go to VoiceOver Cop on YouTube. I'd love to get to 1,000 followers so we can get that unlock of new functions and stuff and things from their technical support. Not that I need to call them, but it's that threshold. You can't have anything until you hit 1,000. And I really appreciate your help. VoiceOver Cop on YouTube. If you go to askatrafficcop.ca, that's our website, you can actually just hit a button. It'll take you there. Okay, Mike. Oh, Mike does under 10 over. Okay, is what I'm taking from your comment. Mercedes says, I have 2 licenses in my name. One is showing medically suspended. One is valid. How do I combine them? Sorry, if you have a license in your name that is medically suspended, you are not licensed. You are medically suspended. Why would you combine a medical? Mercedes says, OPP say I'm valid. Barrie police show I'm suspended. I can't drive. What do I do? Okay. You have returns. Their records show differently. You go to the Ministry of Transportation, you go to Service Ontario and say, what's up? If you are finished your medical suspension, if you have been medically suspended, you can ask them to reinstate you if that medical suspension is no more, or get the appropriate doctor's medical paperwork to take to your doctor and get cleared, because a medical suspension means a medical professional, a doctor, has written into the ministry saying you're no longer eligible to drive. You could have a medical condition that makes you unsafe to operate a motor vehicle. It could be a mental health thing, whatever the case is. Some medical professional has seen fit to put paperwork in. If OPP OPP says you're suspended, they're dealing with the same records. Maybe the person that you spoke to didn't check the right place. Get them to put it on paper. But definitely check with the Ministry of Transportation, through Service Ontario, because they're the ones who are feeding information to both services, and get them to talk to each other. If you go to Barrie and say, could you call the OPP on my behalf? And because, that's what happens with suspensions. The Barrie police have to call the OPP and verify their records. It used to be on microfiche, and like I would call in a suspension. Obviously, computers have changed. Back in the day, and it's not that long ago, I would say, I have someone here, I need to verify service. And they would actually go and like down this hall, come back with a card, and they'd verify it. There was no video phone, so it was just, they would check it and say, yes, you are verified. And then I'd lay the charge of doing that thing. Oh, and thank you, Mercedes, for the gifts. When you give money to the show, it goes to Better Traffic Safety Education. It's a not-for-profit organization. It's actually called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, Inc., a not-for-profit in Canada. But thank you very much. Is it an arrestable offense to drive barefoot using my toes to steer? I think you get a medal, dude. I think if you can do that, like literally barefoot and using your toes to steer, you deserve some kind of recognition at a federal level. The prime minister will pin something to your chest. It's, it's not against the law to drive barefoot. If you are actually someone, and I mean, I'm assuming you're full of fun and making jokes, but if you were if that was a legitimate way to operate a motor vehicle because of a disability you might have, and you could, maybe it's possible, then you'd be trained and certified to drive with those modified vehicles. And there are people who have modifications in their vehicles to hand steer, hand gas, and whatnot. I assume you're making jokes, but that's not against the law to drive barefoot. In Ontario, other jurisdictions may have different rules that I'm not aware of. Anthony Alberta Trick says, have you ever been caught speeding in your personal vehicle? No. Well, not except when I was a kid. Prior to, like, if you're talking about now, like, I'm a responsible driver. When I was 16 years old, I openly talk about the fact that I got a ticket for speeding. I got a ticket for a stop sign. I talked about it this show, in fact. So, but no, I've not been speeding in my personal vehicle, so I haven't been caught doing it because I don't do it. I drive responsibly. It would be a horrible situation if I was driving like an asshat and talking to you about driving legitimately. I'm not a cop. I don't have a get out of jail free card. Not that that cops simply have that, because cops have been charged. So this belief that cops can do whatever they want, it's false. Cops get charged. Look at the news. They just charged a cop in York Region off duty with dangerous driving for crossing a sidewalk. Now, I don't know the details of it, and I'm not convicting them in social media, but to suggest that cops can do everything they want is not accurate. Looking over here, we got Storm Games and Vlogs. What could I do when I see a person with their lights off at night? Is turning on and off your lights when facing or behind them dangerous? More dangerous is letting them drive away with no headlighting system on. I flashed them, I honked them, I've turned off and on my lights quickly. Very often those are drunk drivers and they don't even pay attention. In the worst case scenario, if you've tried to alert them, I would also call police and say, listen, there's a vehicle driving with its lights off. It's a hazard. They're going to get struck, because they are going to get struck. And I would give them all the information you can while keeping a safe distance from that vehicle. You've tried all the things. Let them know. Let police know I've tried. I've even tried pulling up beside them, and then give the observations you had. But remember, when you're getting beside them, you're putting yourself at risk. That is a real risk. Epic Life Enthusiast says, we don't need to increase fines, have cameras, etc. We need to educate people on making a license to get hard. And make getting a license hard to get. Mandatory renewal every 5 years. Yeah, I like that. I was talking to a journalist that I speak to on a regular basis who writes for the Globe and Mail, and that was one of the things he says. How do you feel about annual or regular screening to recertify someone? I said, well, the problem is, quite frankly, I think it's a great idea. The problem is that we have so much corruption in the licensing and education field that schools would say, yeah, we did the course, it's good. And then if we did it where people would come in, they'd be bribing. Like, it would be bad. It would be very disappointing. Yeah. Gloria Glowbug Ross says, they got me speeding and that's okay. If you were speeding and you got caught, that is okay. If you learned from it, it's great. If you're here to talk about it, like if it helps you be a better driver, it's good. Jerry Joe says, I see so many people go unlawfully on the bus priority lanes on Morningside Avenue. Why don't police pull them over? Here's the problem. That driver who's driving in the bus priority lane on Morningside is doing it unlawfully, yes. But the police are so understaffed and overworked going to priority calls, then that just falls through the crack or cracks. It's unfortunate. They can do a blitz once in a while and decide to be proactive in that particular thing. But how do you just sit there for, focusing on a lane when there are people who are speeding and doing all sorts of other dangerous stuff? Like there's no shortage of crime and violation happening in our city. What we have a shortage of is police officers who are ready, able, and available to go out and tackle everything. Because as soon as they're free, like, you have to understand that police officers sign up, suit up, parade for duty, meaning they go before a police sergeant and say, I'm ready, boss, Where do you want me to go? They get assigned a car, they get assigned their stuff, they hit the road. As soon as they mark themselves clear, chirp, chirp, the radio or computer goes off and says, you've got a call. Go here. And when they go there, they're stuck with hours of work. It could be, it very rarely is a police call 5 minutes. It's usually an hour, maybe longer. Could be 6 hours, could be a whole shift. Once they hit clear, they get another call. There is no free time to be proactive and go after bus lane misuse because you have to see it when it happens, right? It's frustrating. It really is. Kyle Switzer wants to know if I think that citizens should have their firearms taken away by the government. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'm for everybody having a gun. I think everyone should carry a firearm. If you pass a test, if you qualify background checks. I want to have firearms because bad guys have firearms. They don't follow the rules. Why should I not be allowed to have firearms in protection of self? I'm pro firearm. I like the Americans' right to bear arms. That's my personal thing. I think that CASA law is a thing that, although we have a variation of it, I think we should have what they have in Florida. I like their laws. Many people will say that's not right, but I don't care what other people think. That's what I think. And that's what I'm telling you. Is it right? That's up to you and your personal politics. I don't think that people should be able to break in your house. I don't think that a lot of things. So, meh. Alberta needs to be policed way more. Drivers have just become, hold on, it scrolled up while I was reading it. Oh, come on. Oh, I gotta scroll back more. Sorry. Now I scrolled back too far. Come on. There we go. Okay. Alberta needs to be policed way more. Drivers have become a joke, especially semi drivers going 135. Well, here you can't go as a semi more than 105 because they're limited. But that's insane for a semi to be going that speed. It's reckless, and that should be policed heavily. And they have so many different ways of policing in Alberta. They have special constables, community constables. I'm surprised that they don't have less of that, but well, they have more of it because they need it. You're not wrong. I know there's a lot of unlicensed drivers in Alberta, having spoken to police officers there and enforcement officers. Storm Games and Vlog says we had 3 to 4 traffic lights taken out last winter. This winter, the traffic lights are okay so far. They aren't running into the traffic lights now. They're just starting to run into each other. People don't know how to drive in the snow. I was driving north on Woodbine from Steeles last week, where the Costco was. I happened to be going there, and I looked down. It was a 4-way blinking lights. The intersection automatic traffic signals were not working. I called York Regional Police to say, "Hey, I happen to be here, and I see it's not working. Are you aware of this?" And then I said, and as I pulled over, I'm like, or pulled up to the intersection, I'm like, and the light pole was taken down, and there's a portion of a car here, but no car here. So you might be looking for an Audi that fled the scene, missing a front wheel and suspension component, because the whole wheel and what is it, the suspension arms were there. Like I can't, and I circled around to look for where this vehicle was. It was gone. So someone drove away on 3 wheels, or was underground and like helicopter escape. I don't know. It was crazy. Okay, let's do this top 10. So this is the top 10 list, and I'll get back to some questions, and we're going to go overtime today. What can we do? The top 10 simple list of main buckets people complained about most. This is the 320 plus complaints boiled down into a top 10. The top 10 is cyclist and pedestrian behavior and the weak enforcement of it. That's reasonable. See a lot of dumb stuff happening. Aggressive and selfish driving. This is based on how many people voted and said this is what bugs them. Aggressive and selfish driving is number 9. Wow. You'd think that would be number 2 or number 1, but that's number 9. Obedience to signs and signals is number 8. Speed choice and speed consistency. I wonder if that is saying that they don't like if they're going too fast. That's kind of ambiguous. Hang on, let's not conflate things. Let me ask this we're gonna ask some qualifying questions because ChatGPT did the analysis for me. I want you to reanalyze the comments and separate speeding from slow driving. And what was the talk show host? Not Carlson. What was his name? Come on. And turn it, and we want lowest to highest. Is the most annoying. Most complained about. Okay, let's see what it comes back with. In the meantime, we're going to go to a question. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro, former police officer, talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. If you want to know stuff and things, then you should be following this channel. You can get me here 10 a.m. on Tuesdays, 9 p.m. on Wednesdays, which means tomorrow night I will be back. I asked for a top 10. It gave me a top 14. Really? Really? Okay, we're going to do it. Pets on laps. Pets on laps. Then we've got police behavior, pulling people over on bad spots, and police texting. Well, that's very weird to be together, but they don't like seeing police texting. They're legally permitted to. So, but pulling people over in bad spots, they obviously thought it was a good spot. Car modifications such as tinted windows and illegal auxiliary lighting. That made 12. I asked for a top 10. It gave me the top 14. Okay. Number 11, vehicle equipment failures such as no brake lights and plate issues. Okay. Now we're going to start ramping up. Now we're into the where we had our top 10 originally. Cyclists and pedestrians ignoring the rules. Okay. I already agree with that. That sucks. Speeding. Okay, we've separated those. Number 9 is speeding. Mentions of unsafe speedings, truck speeding, or general aggressive speed, but very few people complained about slow driving. All right. U-turns and weird turning behavior. Weird turning behavior is a very specific complaint, isn't it? Shows up repeatedly, especially sudden turns or diagonal lane skips. Listen, U-turns and lane changes are part of aggressive driving if they're done aggressively. Running stop signs, rolling stops, blocking intersections, and red light running. Yeah. Of the complaints, that was a large number of them. Lack of enforcement is not really a driving complaint, but it is a complaint that made the top 6. It made number 6 in the top 14. Several people expressed frustration that no one is enforcing anything. Understaffed, overworked. Traffic enforcement is very much a proactive policing measure. And if you don't have available cars, that's why the Vision Zero enforcement team is so important, because they're not sent anywhere else. They're just working, enforcing traffic rules, important ones, prioritizing them, triaging them. Distracted driving, such as phones, texting, zoning out at lights. Well, just distract. You don't have to be on a phone to be distracted, but the law on using your handheld communication device, handheld entertainment device, or looking at a screen, 100% major issue. That's one of my pet peeves. Slow driving in primary lanes being the left lane. That's actually, so earlier it said nobody complained about slow driving. How much do we trust ChatGPT, folks? Because now it's saying slow driving is an issue. Yeah, of course, slow driving. I know, having read and responded to the majority of these comments, that slow driving or drivers being in the left lane, driving below the speed limit, but I really know that means below the speeding limit. People think that you can go faster than the speeding limit in the left lane. You can't. The speed limit is the speed limit across all lanes. The passing lane is for passing people who are going below the posted speed limit. The posted speed limit is not a minimum, it's the maximum. Oddly enough, more people were upset about tailgating and unsafe following distance, which is tailgating, but they just worded it differently. Okay. I get it. Nobody wants to be on your butt. If someone's behind me and I don't like it, I slow down. Yes, I do. I'm that guy. Lighting problems such as high beams, daytime running lights, misuse, and ghost cars make up the number 2 spot of complaints. High beams in dark cars are a huge complaint. It's infuriating. They're invisible when they're in front of you. Well, a separate situation is the people who are running with flashing lights in the snow. Those drive me bananas. I don't understand why people want to alert the world that it's snowing. We see you. It's snowing. I see you, and I see your snow, and I see the every other car on the road. And if you're in zero visibility, which most people got up and say, "Well, if there's no visibility, I need my amber flashing lights to be seen." If there's no visibility, you shouldn't be driving. It's hazardous conditions. Get a hotel room. Stay home. Don't drive. It's hazardous. Thus, your flashy lights should not be needed. If you run into the ditch, turn on your hazards. If you break down at the side of the road, turn on your hazards. But if you're driving in zero visibility, you shouldn't be driving. Bad lane discipline, including left lane camping and not keeping right. That's the number 1 complaint, which is the same as slow driving in the primary lane. Why is that not? Anyway, ChatGPT sucks. Do better. ChatGPT. Oh my God. Really? So then I asked for a top 10. It gave me a top 5. Top 5 is distracted drivers. 4 is slow drivers. 3 is tailgating and following distance. 2 is lighting misuse. And 1 is left lane misuse. That's the final takeaway. Didn't give me what I asked for. I don't trust its answers, but that is the analysis that the AI came up with. And Moldawi says, my complaint was folks pulling out from a side road right in front of you and forcing you to evade. I had one particular intersection in mind just this week. A minivan was hit by a dump truck there. People who just do dumb stuff is a category unto itself. It is so annoying when people do dumb stuff. And there should be charges for dumb driving. Forget drunk driving, which is also dumb driving. But dumb driving would cover so much. Like so much. Yeah. I would very much like to see more charges for dumb driving. I'd like there to be a modification to the Highway Traffic Act to include dumb driving. And anyway. If you park beside a fire hydrant, does the fire department have authority to smash your windows? I'm going back to my memory and laughing of seeing my friend or New York Fire Department smashing a car window trying to hook up to get water. And yourself too. Oh, you got to drive for yourself. Okay, I misunderstood. Okay, but the question is, can you smash? I don't know. I don't know what the fire department authority is on that one. I've seen videos of cars being full of water. I don't know if that's from TVs or what, but it's good stuff. I don't know how to answer that. I figure, you know what, if you get your window smashed out, go make a complaint. They got budgets. They can pay for your car. But if you were in the wrong, I think you're gonna have a hard time. Nikki Nat says, you are so very knowledgeable. Thank you for taking your time and sharing with us. Thank you for the thank you, Nikki Nats. Mike says, slowing down my lower Mustang. Traditional Fox says, speed bumps are only effective in low framed vehicles. Agreed. Shopping mall speed bumps, that would slow things down. Those are horrible. John Harris says, Mississauga put speed bumps on Brahms Grove Road. They just go around them. Yeah. A friend of mine has, he's moved since, but he had a speed camera in front of his home, and on either side were speed bumps, and that camera still went off constantly because people speed between speed bumps, because why wouldn't they, right? Traditional Fox says the car lengths come from defensive driving training. Yes, not law. Correct. Mike Oliveira says, can I be pulled going 10 under? 10 under? No, 10 under is not against the law. Could you be pulled over if you're in the left lane and you should be in the right lane? Yeah. Slower moving traffic has to pull right. And if you don't do that, you are eligible. Yes. Erica's comments about the 8 car lengths. All car lengths are different lengths. That's why 2 to 3 seconds works. Okay. There's so Stenny says downtown Toronto has a TTC bypass. That's new. I've not seen that. I don't go downtown very much anymore. Mount I don't. Mount Hayer fam says, "How do you feel about dark tint? I think it's dangerous and illegal. I think it looks cool, but it's not. It's not legal." Uh, Deborah Crochet. Are city bus TLC allowed to tailgate a car and almost hits, and I'm in a wheelchair and hurt my neck? Are city bus TLC, I don't know what the TLC stands for, allowed to tailgate a car, almost hit, well, no one should tailgate a car. So obviously not. No. Jorez wants to know if I've ever ticketed a cyclist for speeding. If so, does it impact the driver's license? First off, if you look at the definition of speeding, or I should say, not the definition of speeding, but the charge of speeding, which is section 128, it says, no person shall drive a motor vehicle at a rate of speed greater than, and it goes on. Bicycle is not a motor vehicle. It doesn't qualify for the charge of speeding. You cannot be charged for speeding unless you're on an e-bike that isn't an e-bike. And what I mean by that is if you're on an electric assisted bicycle and that electric assisted bicycle is capable of traveling beyond 32 kilometers an hour on a flat surface, that's a motorcycle, not a bicycle. And then you can be charged for speeding because you're not on a bicycle. You only get the benefit of being on a bicycle if you qualify as an e-bike. Trevor England does not like Justin Trudeau. Okay. And as ER responder.on.ca says, cyclist charges don't affect your license. But again, it's not a motor vehicle, can't be charged for speeding, thus it wouldn't be a charge. But if you were charged for careless driving on a bicycle, which you can be charged for, it wouldn't affect your driver's license because you're not on a motor vehicle. Just Ben says, wait. Then, I don't know what we're talking about. Okay. Is he only reading comments from Instagram, not TikTok here? That's from Deborah Crochet. Well, I read your comment already, but I'm way behind. I like this. Horace says, I think tickets at a certain point should result in mandatory community service. Time is money. I agree with you 100%. Time would be the way to go. Panzani says, speed limit is too low everywhere for speeding cams, especially on highways. Speed limit is too low everywhere? So says we should put cameras everywhere and also that speed limits are too low? I'm confused. Okay. Becca Bear wants to know if it's legal to drive with bare feet or no shoes. It's not illegal. It's not a good idea, but it's not illegal. And I always say, if you smash that brake pedal with your bare feet, you might hurt your toesies, which may cause you to release the brake pedal, thus not braking. And that's not a good thing. Also, be careful with flip-flops and things that could become, jammed in the pedals. That's no bueno. Storm Games and Vlog says, I bottomed out my car and threw my ants back going a bit too fast, not remembering that there's speed bumps, and I couldn't see them because they were covered in really good in snow. I can't type today, so it doesn't make sense. Sorry. I got you, man. I hate speed bumps. I hate speed bumps. I'm not a fan of speed bumps. Speed bumps. But I hate speeding. So I get why speed bumps need to happen. I just wish we had people who drove properly and we wouldn't need speed bumps. Okay. Mercedes is back again saying, I have 2 licenses. But then says, perfect, thanks. I've submitted that paperwork. Okay. Just to clarify, just in case, Mercedes, you have 2 licenses that are separate numbers, separate licenses, somehow you've acquired 2, that's illegal. You can only have 1 license. In Ontario, you can only have 1. If you have a license from another jurisdiction, that's not valid. Your Ontario license is your only license. If you are caught having more than 1 license, you can be charged. Especially if you have a license and you're suspended in Ontario. So you can't drive in a license from another jurisdiction if you're suspended in Ontario. Not happening. You're suspended here because your license in Ontario takes priority. If you got questions about this, if you're still unclear, or maybe you just want to give me more background because I'm a little confused how anybody has 2 licenses legally. message me. You can get me at Sean@voiceovercop.ca. Cody, Sean, do all police services have access to the MTO system? Yes, they do. Asking that since some services ask you for a driver's abstract when applying, yeah, employment is separate. They need you to go do the homework. It's about you showing that you know how to do things. But they all have access. But and they're going to run you anyway. But they're going to find that if you are lying or if you're cheating or if you're, it's all part of the test. Kizzo says, explain distracted driving tickets, please, Sean. You can't use your handheld communication device, your handheld entertainment device, or have a screen visible to you from one of those devices, even if you're not the one using it. And that would be a distracted driving charge in the province of Ontario, which comes with a $615 fine and demerit points and suspension on conviction. Now, what does that mean? It means you cannot hold your phone even if the battery is dead. You cannot use your phone, and holding it is using it according to the interpretations of law. Put it away. Put it in the trunk if you can't control yourself, but don't have it with you. Now, if you mount it in the car and you are simply answering it by swiping on the screen, you can temporarily use it by way of speaker, but you can only hang up or answer it. That is the only functionality you can utilize or engage with your phone. You can't read texts. You can't order pizza or activate the Tim Hortons thing. You can't. In fact, you can activate the GPS when you're on private property, and you can have the screen visible to you while you're driving with the map, but you can't touch the phone. You can't engage with your GPS when it's on your phone. Kuno says, hey, Sean, quick question for you. I was caught doing 60 in a 40 zone. Never had a ticket before. I think I can get a break on the points by negotiating. I'm going to do better. Never got a ticket in the driving for almost 20 years. Oh, just scrolled up. Hang on a second. Hate the idea that points are on my record. They ruined Morningside Avenue. I avoid it all the time. No, that's two different people. That was Harry Colos who says they ruined Morningside. Kuno said they hate the idea of their points being on the record. Well, first of all, the points mean very little other than the ministry knows you got them, and if you have lots of them, they're going to tell you to get some driver education or suspend you or whatnot. It doesn't change your insurance. Any conviction is going to impact your insurance, whether it has points or not. So if you're doing it just to have no points because you don't like points, listen, you can go to the court and say, I'm guilty. I did what I did, but can I plead guilty to a lesser offense because I want to avoid the points? They'll likely take a plea of guilt by 5 kilometers less to give you no points. But is the juice worth the squeeze? That is the question. EB, I don't know what EB's commenting on. Private says, couldn't agree more. You're 100% right, but I don't know what they're agreeing with because I'm so far behind in the comments. Oh, Cody. Okay. So I guess when EB says that it's effing crazy that I believe in First Amendment or Second Amendment, I should say, rights in the states for being able to with firearms and whatnot. And Private agrees with me 100%. And then Cody says, could you imagine that you're being told you're a sociopath because you believe in self-defense measures? I just, you know what, coming from someone who carried a firearm for their career, it's not weird for me to talk about firearms as a legitimate self-defense tool or to defend others. But for someone who's never had a firearm, I guess then that's the thing. Okay. Harry says, why are clear license plate covers illegal if it's helping prevent my plate from peeling? They're clear, but they may be polarized. They have glare. They may have other technologies to prevent them from being photographed. The glare is an issue. They fade. They get dirty. They're not allowed. And they're not allowed for good reason. Storm Games and Vlogs wants to know Aaron Urquhart. No, wants to know if I know Aaron Urquhart. I know Aaron very well. She used to be on the show with me all the time. We still talk on occasion. What is this? Oh, Epic Life Enthusiast says, fun fact, I have 5 driver's licenses: Canada, US, Poland, Russia, and UAE. Well, you've beat me. I used to have a Florida driver's license when I lived there, but you can only, but we only recognize one. You can only physically carry one at a time, and the jurisdiction you're in takes precedence. But that's very cool. That's a lot of licenses. Da, da, da. Rebecca Chandler says, if I don't have full coverage, should I still tell the insurance I missed a deer but went in the ditch? If I don't have full coverage, do you mean like you only have liability coverage? Anytime you're involved in a collision, you went in the ditch, you damaged a vehicle, you might want to tell them that that happened, because if you damaged your vehicle, like that's an insurance question that I don't have a perfect answer for. You're not making a claim, you're just letting them know that it happened. If you're not going to them for repair, and there's no collision other than the fact that you ran off the road, I don't think there's anything to report to them. The deer is irrelevant, I think. But let's confirm. Full coverage meaning comprehensive, so they don't cover you the damage caused by your collisions. What or this I think that's what we're talking about. I often, true transparent honesty, I might be to a fault. However, I tell my insurance company anything they need to know, because I don't want them to find out from somebody else and then they say, "Well, you didn't tell us, so now we think you're being dishonest. We're going to jack your rates." Caesar says, if I have two people in the car, can I drive on bus lane with diamond carpool sign that says no buses only? No. Diamond lanes are multi-use. You must qualify based on the restrictions of the sign. If the sign says 2 people, 3 people, 8 people, 12 people, you must follow the guidelines of the sign, because they're different in different jurisdictions. For instance, most diamond lanes, HOV lanes, require 2 people, like the ones on the Series 400 highways. If you look at the ones on Dufferin Street, I think they're 3 people to be able to carpool in them. So you have to look at them, look for how many bumps of heads there are available to work. Sir Tristan wants to know where I'm from. I am from Ontario, Canada. I used to be a police officer in the city of Toronto, and now I have retired from policing, and I am with bettertraffic.ca. I'm a member of the former police officer club. Yeah. Actually, I'm still a member of the International Police Association. Travis Collins 213 says, some questions that people ask really concern me for our country. The education system is failing. That's interesting from Travis. Can you drive with a small dog on your lap? No, absolutely not. You cannot. It's careless driving. It is a charge that would suck if you got it. It's also drive whilst crowded. It's also going to make Fluffy part of your person, because when the airbag deploys in the event of a collision, that fluffy puppy or whatever is on your lap is going to be, at 200 miles per hour shot into you, and you might share DNA after that. Okay. I use my hazards when suddenly slowing. Yes. So JR Power Sports, in that situation, when you are making a radical change in your behavior, you become a hazard. So if you are slowing, hit those hazard lights. I absolutely support that. I'm talking about, in the video that I put up and in my comments earlier, if you are driving around and everyone with you is driving around at the same speed and you're flashing your high beams, it makes no sense. And if you're in zero whiteout scenarios and you pull over the side of the road, use your flashers, because you are a hazard and you're immobile. But if you're driving in zero visibility, you are a hazard who shouldn't be driving. It doesn't make sense to drive. You drive. I mean, I understand the limp mode at 20 kilometers an hour to get off the highway, but we're talking about people who drive at highway speeds with their flashing lights on. And maybe I should clarify that more when I rag on people for doing it. But yeah, it's not for driving. It's for stationary objects. Can we remove front plates, please? No. And you know it, but you would just want to ask to be fun. Yeah, you need to have 2 plates if you're licensed in the province of Ontario. Travis Collins, seriously, why would you need to do that? Oh, yeah, for sure. That's why it's careless. Mike says, welcome to Ohio with left lane driving. Okay. That guy 71 says, one thing I disagree with is tint on side windows. It really does help with sensitivity issues. Totally get it, but it also prevents communication. And as ER responder says, wear sunglasses. That's the answer, right? Like, pick your nose in public and get used to it, because we need to be able to see inside. You need to be able to see outside. It's for everybody. Now, the argument is, well, if I wear sunglasses, I can't see. I mean, that's true, but you can take them off at night. Rarely is this an issue during the day. It's more of an issue at night, and it's an issue with nonverbal communication and pedestrians. User with great command of the English language says, cops ain't gone do none to me. Then says, why are cops scared of gang activity? And then says, you ain't no police officer. Oh, he's responding to ER responder and says, sorry. ER responder says, as a police officer, I want to be able to see when approaching need to be safe. 100% officer safety issues. Then user, who's got the great command of the English language, says, you ain't no police officer. And then ER responder says, ask Sean. And he is most definitely a police officer. I used to work with him. He's an awesome guy. User says, majority of police officers are soft. So says the guy who can't type in English. Okay. MJ 1974 says, just witnessed an old Crown Vic police car done up with lights and all of its painting. Oh, it's a painting car. Yeah, I've seen the company. Awesome, fun, not illegal. The lights can't be used on the road. They should be amber if they're on the road. Yeah. Turk says, if I allegedly went 216 kilometers an hour in a 120 zone, what's the charge? I'd charge you with criminal dangerous driving, stunt driving, speeding. I could charge you for all of those. Yeah, I'd arrest you. In a public park, can you get a speeding ticket on a bike? Yes, you can. In the city of Toronto, there's bylaws that have a maximum speed in a public park. I believe it's 20 kilometers an hour. Anything beyond that is not a speeding HTA fine, but a park violation under the bylaw. Okay. Hell of Smith. How's it feel not being a real cop buddy boy? I was a real cop buddy boy. I retired from policing, buddy boy. It's weird. It's weird being a civilian again. I was a police officer and a member of the police service for nearly 25 years, and it was a great experience. And if anyone wants to become a police officer, I wholeheartedly support your move into law enforcement. Service is very rewarding. And it's weird having left it, but I left it for a good reason. I left for family. Erica says, my personal opinion, the government should make it mandatory to include driver's ed in high school education. I 100% agree with you. I got to scroll back here. I'm having way too much fun today. Thanks for everyone who's contributing by way of comments. You guys are awesome. Shady says, I got up by a group of strangers and a TPS officer just watched it happen and did nothing. Shady, if that happened, not only would I file a complaint, and if you could identify the police officer, I would make a complaint about that too. There's no way that an officer, a police officer, would watch a fight in progress and not intervene. I don't understand how that happened. I wasn't there. Obviously, I can't defend or comment as to why that happened, other than if that's what happened, complain, file a complaint. Where were you? I mean, don't tell me because I'm no longer a police officer, but go report that. Turk says, I got a Canadian, Australian, UK license. I'll never get suspended. But remember, if you get suspended here, you are suspended on all of your licenses. You are ineligible to drive because if you have a Canadian license, that is the priority license of this country, regardless of the province is issued. That's the one that's going to take precedence. So if you have like a Manitoba license and you drive in Ontario, you can drive, but you can't drive with your Australian accent. You can't drive with your Australian license. You have a Canadian license. It takes priority. During storm event, when the road is covered with snow, can you drive in between two lanes? How would you even know where the lanes are? You're lucky to stay on the road. If your storm is so stormy, you probably shouldn't be driving. Is a vehicle considered? Sorry, is a bicycle considered a vehicle under the HTA? Yes, it is. A vehicle, yes. A motor vehicle, no. Okay. Rebecca says, Rebecca, I read your question earlier. I don't recall what you asked, but if you still want to, you can watch the rerun available on YouTube after the show. It's live there now. You can go back and watch it. It'll be there, and then I upload it as a podcast afterwards as well. User lots of numbers says, if a traffic cop disrespects me, do I have the right to send them? No, you're silly. Why do officers get so upset when citizens assert their rights? Don't know what you're talking about. If you have the right to do something, go do something. But what rights are you suggesting you must assert? No idea. Turk says I got pulled over for expired registration and tint or whatever those mean. Well, expired registration means your plate is no longer valid. Tint is if your plates were or your windows were too dark. ER responder says insurance contracts will state that any collision shall be reported regardless of coverage level. Good to know. See, insurance answers. Oh, Dave Audette, what's going on, brother? It says, hello, Sean, passing through. Can't stay long, but I have just a few days left before I retire. Yes. And then I think we should have a post-retirement guest on the show where you tell all as a traffic cop. Actually, I want to have you on the show. That would be awesome. But congratulations, brother. Dave is finishing off a very lengthy and magical career with the Toronto Police Service. I can't imagine. Well, I can't imagine. Life after the badge is very weird. Okay. Daytime running lights at night. People who don't know how to use nighttime headlights. Yes. Snoogans. Is it illegal to pull into a small plaza to go around a red light? You have to come, if in the city of Toronto, you have to come to a complete stop before crossing a crosswalk a sidewalk on the way out. But is it illegal? Are you trespassing? If you pulled into a gas station because you thought about getting gas, then went to get out, not necessarily. If you did it safely and in a controlled manner, then I think you'd be fine. Sobe wants to know if it's illegal to drive upside down. What salary do most officers top out at? Well, salaries are constantly increasing. When I think top salary when I was on the job was about 120. I think it's going to be about 140 pretty soon, based on new contracts and inflation and all that stuff. SRO says, are Canadian cops allowed to take home their service pistol? Yes. Why do dealers put frames on plates when they know they're illegal in Ontario? Because they don't care and they want to advertise for you. And most times people don't get stopped, but they're absolutely not the right thing. Heathen says, didn't you have a bit on 102.1, the Edge radio show? Thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't think I've ever been on 102.1. I am regularly on Newstalk 1010 as a guest of Jerry Agar and a number of other hosts on that channel, but and also on 640 AM. But I don't think I've ever done anything on 102.1. There is somebody who allegedly sounds like me, but it was not me. Okay. Greg says, hi, Sean. Saw a Jeep with like 15 lights, white headlights on the roof, fog, etc. Is this legal? Greg, no, it's not. 4 headlamps can be illuminated at any given time. You can have 15 lights on the vehicle, but you can only activate 4 headlights facing forward, 4 lights that are over 300 candela of power. That's what identifies them as headlights. More than that is off-road use only. And ER responder was on it. Only 4 facing on a highway. Can Canadian cops? We talked about that. Okay. Oh. What do you think about facial recognition for the police officer's body camera that they're trying to do? I think it's awesome. I think that I like the RoboCop thing where you walk around and you see exactly who it is, and why not? What are we hiding from? If you're a good person doing good things, I don't have an issue with it. Do I think we should have social ranking like China, where if you're a good person based on how you pay your bills and whether or not you should be able to buy a coffee at Starbucks based on that? No. But I think that if you're a wanted criminal, we should be able to find you. I don't think we should be cataloging everybody that as soon as I look at someone, I can see that's Bob and that's Cindy. No, but if you're a bad guy, we should be able to pull you out of a crowd and identify you with the technology to help us find bad people. Hey, how come Doug Ford said license stickers are gone, but commercial vehicles still need it? Because it wasn't license stickers are gone. It's license stickers for the majority of people. Oddly enough, snowmobiles, I think, still need the licenses because Sergeant Murray Campbell is still griping about that. I miss Murray. Someone said construction zone with lane ends don't zipper effect. What? Someone said a construction zone with lane ends don't use zipper effect. Zipper is I'm not aware of anything. I don't know where, David, I don't know where that's coming from because zipper merge is the right way to use a lane that ends. Lamarche 499 wants to know how much training did you get as a cop? It's constant and forever. This is the initial training and constant training and requalification annually. What are the rules for studded tires in Ontario? Well, I'm glad you asked because I have a button I can press here. First of all, in Ontario, you can only have studded tires if you are registered in Northern Ontario, which is Algoma, Cochrane, Kenora, Manitoula, Nipissing, Parry Sound, Rainy River, Sudbury, Thunder Bay, and Temiskaming. Yeah. If you are registered and live in those areas, then you can, in fact, have them and you can use them because that's what they're for. They're not intended for for asphalt roads with a little bit of snow. They're for hard packed snow and ice. They actually take longer to stop on Southern Ontario roads and they damage the roads. So they're not good for everywhere. I wouldn't want them on my vehicle unless I was operating up north. Now, if you're from another province and you want to come in to Ontario, you can be in Ontario visiting for up to 30 days. And you can drive everywhere in Ontario with the set of tires for up to 30 days if you're registered outside of the province where it's legal. And where can you find if it's legal? You don't want them. You don't want them. Again, you have to live there. And if you live there, you'll find places that have them, but you don't want them unless you live there and drive there. David Detour says, if there are two lanes heading in a single direction and one is full of parked cars, can a motorbike use the lane to ride past the traffic? Note the motorbike can fit comfortably. If there's two lanes heading in a single direction and one is full, okay, so a parked lane is still a lane. Bicycles can use it. I have no issue with motorcycles using it if it can be done safely. Speed differential is a big thing. Is that lane splitting? It's parked cars. If those cars were actively driving, I would say that would be careless or stunt driving. But if they're parked cars and there's sufficient room, then I have no issue with it. Could someone have a hard time with it? It's possible. But that doesn't mean it would be conviction registered. Vicinity wants to know if it's illegal to put Christmas lights on a car. Technically, yes. Technically, it is illegal. You can't have certain colors in certain directions, certainly not flashing. It's a distraction. It's probably going to ruin your paint job. And as much as it is illegal, you're probably not going to have a problem with most officers. Most officers are going to look at that and go, Merry Christmas. If you drive with track off and skid on snow, if you drive with traction control off and skid on snow when doing a turn, can you ticket? It's unintentional. Well, why would you turn traction control off? So here's the problem. If you are drifting around corners, regardless of what your traction control says, it means you're driving beyond the capability of your vehicle and your skills, most likely, and you're losing traction. It's going to be seen to be intentional because you're fishtailing around, and that would suggest you are stunt driving because you're probably doing it for fun. Now, if you are losing traction but immediately regain it, in other words, let your foot off the gas, well, that's not stunt driving. But if you ride that skid through the corner, you're stunt driving, lose your license for 30 days, lose your car for 14, if you're deemed to be stunt driving. David Detour says, thanks, Sean. Appreciate the response. Couldn't find anything stating whether or not that was illegal. And that was talking about riding past traffic. Listen, I used to do it all the time. Okay, let's have a quick look here. And I do want to queue up the video. Let me see here. I should have done this earlier. All right, stand by. Here we go. Sending it over to my mini airdrop. I sent it to the wrong computer. That's why. And speaking of Christmas lights, I've talked about them a couple of times. Here's Christmas lights that are awesome.
When you think you're the coolest guy in the parking lot, and then this guy shows up.
I meant to get rid of the audio, and I didn't move fast enough. But there's extreme level. That's not really Christmas lights, but they're programmed to be Christmas-ish. Okay, what do we got here? Media. Okay, that did not work well. Hopefully, you're still with us. That was weird. Anyway, I was going to play a Killa's video. We'll have to play it for next time because it did not work. It crashed my site. But we're back to be able to say goodbye. Quick check to see what's going on here. In a momente. Greg, thanks for the gifts. Appreciate you. That goes to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. Okay. It did. Brian. What's going on, Brian? Do we try it one more time? I'm a glutton for punishment. Let's try one more time.
Greetings and salutations from another snowy day in Madoc. This is Akela Draconis with today's jokes. Why will American people never convert to the metric system? Because they'll never accept a foreign ruler. What kind of doctor is Dr. Pepper? A physician. I was abducted by aliens. They made me clean my room, eat my vegetables, and go to bed early. Turns out I was on the mothership. And that's all there is today. Stay safe. Don't have a good day. Have a great day.
Thanks to Killer Draconis. I normally would prepare that in advance of the show, and I totally didn't do it. But yes, Frozen. It was Frozen for everybody. Yes, definitely a long show. It went far longer than I planned to, in nearly 2 hours. I do that on occasion. I like helping y'all out. So if there's good stuff to talk about, I am all over answering the questions for as long as it takes. Decepticons Forever says, dude, what happened? I don't know what happened. It broke. All right. If you are around tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be back again for After Dark, Ask a Traffic Cop After Dark, where we do this all over again for at least an hour. And as you can see, we sometimes do it for 2. So if you're around, please join us. We'll be here talking about stuff and things. Until then, drive safe, drive sober, and smile because it looks good on you. No, really, it does. It's smiling. It's a good thing. It was fun. And if you don't make it tomorrow night, we'll be back Tuesday at 10 a.m. again. Yeah, because we do this once a week. Tuesdays 10 a.m., Wednesdays 9 p.m. It's fun for everybody. At least it's fun for me. And if at least I'm having fun, then I'm happy. In the meantime, if you want to jump on the questions, you can go to askatrafficcop.ca. You can send me voicemail. You can also follow me on YouTube there, where these episodes are all available afterwards. If you would be so kind, please follow me on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're like 9 away now. So it's a good thing. Have a great day.